Move on to Florida. For Florida, they just had a scrimmage, and the good people at Gators Online have a ton of intel on their site. Make sure you got a membership there. They're covering Florida better than anybody else in this whole industry, so make sure you're locked in there. The main positive I'm taking away from the scrimmage and from what we're hearing out of spring camp is the defensive line. Just straight up, you're going to have more depth. Because a season ago, you had Jervin Dexter have 637 snaps on the year as a defensive tackle. Y'all, Jervin Dexter is a great athlete. He's going to make a lot of money in the NFL. But you should not have your D tackle playing 600-plus snaps for you a season. It's not winning football. So what does that tell you? Last year, there was not nearly enough depth-wise to play multiple guys that you felt comfortable with week in and week out. So, with that being said, the intel is encouraging. Like I said, more depth. The cupboard is more stocked. You have multiple units that you feel comfortable playing, which you just have to do in the SEC. It's a long season. It's a physical conference. You play Georgia. You play Alabama. You play the teams that want to play smash mouth with you. You have to be able to hold up week in and week out. So for Florida, that's the main encouraging thing for me. A lot is still formulating at Florida, but for Florida, I'm encouraged about the defensive line depth at this point in time. Now, there's two other things we got to talk about. And how you perceive these is really in the eye of the beholder. The first thing is you have a true quarterback battle going on between Graham Mertz, transferred from Wisconsin, and Jack Miller, who transferred from Ohio State, but he's been there now for a full year. Now, the half-empty perception of this could be, we brought Graham Mertz from Wisconsin to start, and you're telling me he can't beat out Jack Miller? Now, Florida fans, those of you that have been really watching your team closely, you've seen Jack Miller in a small sample size, and you still have more you'd like to see. You probably from those, I guess a spring game, and you saw him playing the bowl game, you're like, man, that's not our quarterback. Okay, I hear you. You don't have to be you don't have to be excited about what you saw, but just trust there's more going on behind closed doors. So if you're saying this is a quarterback battle and it shouldn't be, okay, fair, but I would let this thing formulate a little bit more. But that's the half-empty way to look at it. Now, the half-full way to look at it is, okay, great. Open quarterback competition. We're not handing anybody anything. Let's ride. The best player is going to play competition. Iron sharpens iron. We're all for it. Great teams across the country, the ones that play meaningful games, competition is the fuel that leads them forward, if you will, to make it sort of poetic in a sense, to be like a little extra dramatic with that. So the quarterback battle is going to rage on. I still expect Graham Mertz to win that job. I think he transferred to Florida for a reason, but they're not going to hand it to him. As a Florida fan, you should be encouraged by that. The other thing we got to talk about, they had a scrimmage this week, and the report out of that scrimmage is it wasn't like one side really dominated. Like there was no winner of the scrimmage. Does that make sense? It wasn't one-sided. Now, the half-empty way to look at this is, okay, well, the first scrimmage, the defense should just win it, to be honest with you. Because when you're getting rolling during spring football as an offense, there is so much more you have to worry about. You're going through different reads and different keys and making sure that you have everybody on the same page. And if just one thing goes wrong, whole play is blown up, right? Defensively, you can sort of hide some weaknesses a little bit easier. Hey, we got beat on the backside, but that's okay because that was away from the play and nobody even saw that. So you would expect the defense to have a W in that first scrimmage, and that wasn't the case. So you're saying, oh, man, what's going on with our defense? Are we going to give up 30 points a game again? What's up with Austin Armstrong? How's he calling the defense? And there's room for a lot of unrest, if you will, in terms of what you think of your team. Now, the thing that I would say that encourages me, the half-full way to look at this, is there's no weakness that jumped out on either side, right? Because in an SEC environment that a Florida Gator scrimmage would be, if you have any weaknesses or you're just straight up not up to par in any category, that would get exposed. And for there to be good competition, for it to be back and forth, doesn't sound like any weakness is really jumping out just yet. It's far too early to have an absolute take on Florida, what they're going to be offensively or defensively. But to have there be some good back and forth means you have good things and bad things, I guess, on both sides of the ball. The concerning thing is that there was a few more turnovers than you would like, according to Billy Napier. And Graham Mertz has had kind of that turnover bug follow him just a little bit from his time at Wisconsin. Jack Miller hasn't been, like I said, sensational in his one start in spring game you saw from him. it's early, okay? I'm not going to worry about the turnovers too much until we get to like that last third of spring practices, until we get to that spring game, all right? Right now, just kind of taking your lumps, figuring it out, and Florida's going to be okay. I really believe they're going to be in a better place in year 2 than they were in year 1, and that's what you should be if your program's headed the right direction. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.